Hello, what is going on, guys? Hockey Guy 1 here. Welcome to my review of Aquaman. So, Aquaman is directed by James Wan and stars Jason Momoa, Amber Heard, William Dafoe, Patrick Wilson, and Yahya Abdul-Mateen. So, the story is Orm, or Ocean Master, wants to have revenge on the humans because they've been polluting the system. So Aquaman or Arthur Curry has to go on a journey with Mera to find the Triton so he could take down our Ocean Master and just basically save the human world. Now let me get started with my positives, and the visuals are just fantastic. I mean, the city of Atlantis looks great. Right, the sea creatures that they put in there look great, and just about every single water effect attack looks pretty convincing. And they did a great job with the CGI. Good job, DCEU. Jason Momoa was a great choice for Aquaman, as he did a great job with his acting, and he always really looks into it. And he does give a great performance, and he's definitely into it, for sure, and he could have been a better casting choice, for sure. The origin story they did for Aquaman was easily the best part about his character, because I'm glad they followed the comics for the origin story, and they did a great job with the origin story, because I'm glad they followed the comics for this one, and they did a great job, for sure. Easily the best part about Aquaman's character. And the action scenes were once again epic, like Aquaman going and Mera going against Black Manta, and the climax, as well as the opening scene. And they're all amazing, and they definitely get you into the movie, for sure, and put you at the edge of your seat, because easily the best part about this movie is the action. He put you in the edge of your seat, for sure, after being kind of bored from the story, and it's great action scenes, for sure. As well as Amber Heard did a pretty good job. Wasn't the biggest fan of Mera's character, but Amber Heard did a pretty good job in her role. And Aquaman's costume just looks great. Thank you, DC, for making him have a good costume this time, and actually making him have the comic book costume. Because in Justice League he had a costume that just was terrible. Good thing they made him change it here into his comic book costume, because it just looks great on screen, and couldn't have been a better job making it look like the comic book costume, and it's definitely a really good costume, and I'm glad DC finally decided to care about the comics for someone. But with that said, I do have a whole lot of negatives, like the story I could see where they were trying to go with it, but it just wasn't executed very well for me. It's just terribly paced, and just not very well executed story. They could have done so much more with it, but they didn't really do it very well, so it just kind of made it feel a bit, well, not necessarily generic, but just not very well executed. Like, it's a new idea, just not very well executed, and they could have done a lot more with it. And the humor just out of nowhere most of the time, and just completely unfunny. I don't even know why they decided to put any humor into this. This movie did not need any humor whatsoever, and it's just terrible humor. It didn't really need to be in this movie, and just completely unfunny. Aquaman's character isn't necessarily terrible, but it's decent to be honest. They didn't really develop it very well to me. Like I said earlier, the origin story is the best part of his character. Other than that, his character isn't really that well developed. I mean, he just kind of doesn't really want to be king, and then later ends up being king. I mean, it's not really being any character development. Like, there wasn't really many character traits that really signify that he really wanted to be a king. Like, they could have focused on more development like that, but they didn't really develop his character very well. They just kind of tried to develop his love story with Mara, which I didn't really like the love story very well, because they just don't really seem like they like each other, but then they end up liking each other in the end, so it's just kind of ridiculous. It was like they could have done so much better with that love story, but they didn't, like I said. And Mara, she's just bad. She's nothing special. She's just there to support Aquaman, be Aquaman's love interest, and not really much. She doesn't have much character, and they could have developed her character more, because it just doesn't really feel like she has that much character, because she doesn't really develop over time, and it's kind of just the same character. She's not really the worst love interest I've seen in film, but she's just pretty bad. And Black Manta did not need to be in this movie whatsoever. He's just the secondary villain in this movie, and just gets easily defeated in one scene, even though he is coming back in the next movie, as it says in the end credits. But that's what they should have done, is just not do anything with him in this movie, and just leave him for the sequel. Because seriously, he wasn't in this movie, it wouldn't affect the plot whatsoever. Right? Like he did not need to be in here. And they just made it, and it just makes him look weak. Hopefully they do a lot better with him with Aquaman 2, or whatever it's gonna be called, because I'm kind of disappointed with what they did with him here, because I wasn't really a fan of any of the trailers, so I thought they could at least do something with him, but they didn't really do anything with him. He wouldn't have affected the plot if he wasn't in this movie, and because he has nothing to do with the main plot of the film, and it just should have been left for a sequel, like I said. They didn't really need it, and his motivation is just, you killed my father, now I'm going to be a villain, which has been done many times for motivation of a villain, which is to the point where it just kind of makes it annoying that they're using it so much. And Ocean Master is just a terrible, terrible villain. His motivation is just that he wants to go after the humans because they keep polluting the world, which is not a very good motivation, and he doesn't really doesn't do much. Like, he's not really intimidating or anything. He's just a weak villain who gets defeated by your hero in the climax and doesn't really do much in between the entire movie. And he's just a weak villain. They probably could have made him good, but he ended up being really bad in the end. But he's still one of the better DCEU villains, but he's still bad. So overall, Aquaman was better than I expected, but it still was very underwhelming and mediocre. So I'm going to give Aquaman a 6 out of 10. That was my review of Aquaman. So now I'm finally done with the DCEU, so yeah, next up is the ranking, as well as the ranking of the 2018 comic book movies. So yeah, what are your thoughts on Aquaman? Tell me in the comments below, and I'd like to thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.